Testing 1, 2. Looks like we're live for another Saturday morning stand-up featuring Splinterlands, Splinterforge, Golem Overlord, kind of whatever we want to talk about related to these type of games. Thanks for dropping in. I have the town hall up, but frankly, there wasn't a whole lot in the town hall this week that I wanted to discuss, but we could start off with that, and then we could go into, whatever topics everybody wanted to talk about. Good morning, Gathering. How you doing? I saw your video with Dwayne earlier this week. It was quite informative. I liked it. Listened to the whole thing while I was working out one morning, so good deal. So let's just go ahead, and it shouldn't take too long to run through the town hall topics because frankly there wasn't a whole lot I guess worth talking about to me, but I mean there's a lot kind of they talked about on the back end, game improvements and such, but we can just start into this and then we can go, branch off into whatever everybody wants to talk about. I think the main thing that I've made movements on this week is basically cards for my land. So yeah, I mean it was an informative session listening to you, and it's almost like kind of two ends of the spectrum. I kind of feel like Gathering, you and I are kind of approaching the game from the lower end, whereas Dwayne has been at the top end of the game for quite a while. So I guess the interesting part to me was hearing your take on different topics versus his, because you're both coming at it from kind of a different perspective, right? So it was very informative. I liked it. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and we can just run through the topics from the town hall. Big subject this week was chibi dinos. Frankly, not really interested in another game at this point. I might take a look at it to do a review, but I don't really feel good making a review of a game that I don't really, not really invested in. But right off the bat, probably not something that would pique my interest. So, but they did talk about that, and that's kind of been one of their ongoing topics. I do like the fact that they're marketing the Splinterlands game infrastructure in and of itself as a service. So they're able to make their company a little bit wider spread and make money off of this infrastructure that they've built for other games to take advantage of that and then pay them, which helps them as a business, keep going. So I do like that. Gathering says, I need to make a video on my land strategy, what monsters I need and will use, and how much DEC I will need. I won't be using max monsters on most plots. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big topic that's come around, and we've kind of talked about it here and there. Hey, Alex, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. Thanks for dropping by. Let's go ahead and run through this, and then we can talk about monsters, because that's one of my secondary topics. Good morning, Supreme Victory Network. Thanks for stopping by. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. It's morning here, just right before lunch at 11 o'clock, so I'm on the east coast of the U.S. Okay, so chibi dinos, not a really big topic to me. The GLG, also not a very big topic to me, but I do like the fact that they're marketing their infrastructure that they've put together to help their company. I think anything that helps their company, stay afloat and keep going is a good thing, without having to necessarily keep throwing really expensive cards at us. I do like, I think we beat this to death, but I do like having promo cards, but I like to, feel value in the promo cards I'm buying and not necessarily just feel like the card's too expensive for what it's worth. So I think we've kind of hashed that out though. But they go on to say they're working on the SPL This is kind of on the back end stuff, but once again, it all goes into them marketing Splinterlands as a service and being able to onboard more games. And obviously, if they're doing that, we're not going to be able to. Your average person, your average player, isn't going to be able to play all the games. Obviously, there's going to be games. So, for instance, like Genesis League Sports. I mean, I can completely understand if you're a soccer/football fan why you would like that. Not necessarily something I'm interested in, although I am rolling over and staking the tokens to make a little bit. Not interested in playing that. So there are several of these games that are going to be built on their infrastructure, and from a money point of view, you can't just afford to play them all, right? So Alex asks, says, I did not get promo card. I didn't either, Alex. I seriously sat down and went in the first few days and looked at it a few times and looked at the price. The price is, depending upon fluctuation, about $65 per BCX. And the way I looked at that is you would really have to have a level 2, because at level 1, I don't even really feel like it would be playable to me. Level 2, it picks up the extra power and it's worth it. Worth it. It makes it a playable card, but then you're talking about 65 times 3 or 4, so it's a several $100 US dollar card, and I didn't feel the value is there. And I think that Gathering and I have kind of talked about it in previous videos that if I'm spending that much money, I'm looking at other things I could buy for that, and it just doesn't hold up the value to me. And I understand why they're doing it. They need to make money to keep pay the bills and everything. But I don't necessarily have to buy that if I don't feel the value's there. So, there's a lot of good examples. There's a lot of the higher end summoners you could buy for the same price and get a lot better value. Increase the strength of your deck for that price, right? So. Alex says, I got more land from Gank, so now I have 5 plots and need 290k DEC. Yeah, it's quickly going to come down to everybody figuring out if you haven't put much thought into it. It sounds like you've put a lot of thought into it, and I have too. But I think for the most part, a lot of people, especially the people that bought a lot of plots of lands, they're coming down to it, and they're finding out exactly how much DEC they're going to need, not just to buy cards to stake, but also the actual staking. It's a lot. So we could take a look at the market, but I'm sure you all have been looking at the market. There's a lot of these big holders that are selling off land. So a lot of times they're trying to sell off the commons, but they're still trying to get rid of them, So let's see here. Alex says, I can't buy anything till I get the DEC. Yeah, I understand. Everybody has their own budget, and they've got to figure out how they're going to approach the game. Or approach the land game, as it were. Because, as I said before, it's a completely different side of this game, right? Because currently, I was looking at land. I've been scoping out. I've currently got 4 plots. I'm trying to sell. Oh, let me turn off my dark reader because it makes it look weird. Let's reload. So yeah, I use dark reader because I like everything to be dark. I sit in front of the computer screen all day long on a daily basis, and if you use a lot of white screens, it just burns your retinas. So I have a plot over here. In Gillith in 12 that I'm trying to sell, which pretty good price. And then I'm centralized in Tostrington over here with my brother. I have a couple plots. I have a rare lake, and I also picked up a plains to produce the food. I do currently have it up for sale to see if anybody will buy it. I'm going with my perspective of having 2 plots in the same area, one to produce food and one to produce, whatever the main good is I'm going to produce. And we went in with, I'm in Ravenwood with Gathering. And I got the first plot before Nate. Interestingly enough, Nate has bought up a bunch of this area because he bought this whole section here, he bought some of this section, and he bought this whole section. Well, I mean, he already had it. He just claimed it, right? So should be interesting. I'm looking for another plot to open up in Ravenwood so I can grab it. Some of these plots are for sale, but they're for a ridiculous price. And I don't necessarily think I want to get a swamp. There's a decently priced swamp here, but I don't think I want to get a swamp. Gathering says, can sell some part or forge for DEC. Yeah, I agree. My approach on part is that I sell one part per claim, and it's kind of average. It's cost averaging, right, over time. So, and I keep that as Hive on Hive Engine. So whenever I need something, I find that I need something, I can just exchange it at will. Alex says, no, I keep part separate game, don't mix them. I mean, everybody has to have their own take on it, right? I think mine and Gathering's take on it is using both our what we make off of Splinterforge and off of Golem Overlord to kind of interchange. And I know for me, I just kind of trade it back and forth as needed. Now, Golem Overlord, I primarily, like I said, I only sell one part per claim, and then the rest has been really rolled back into the game. And I've really been going hard on faith lately. So just to kind of jump back over here, I was doing fortification and faith. I'm low on power because I have not been doing an attack build. I've been doing a defense build. Got attacked a couple times yesterday, but overall I think everything's going pretty well. But as we noted, the last couple weeks, it's really slowed down since the big changes. I think my main take is changed a little bit on it because I noted in chat, one person noted that as you raise your fortification, you also start getting on the radar of the bigger players. So I've taken time out from doing fort and I'm doing faith a little bit to get it above 20. Alex says, I roll part back into the game. Yeah, I do. I mean, at this point, I pretty much just, it's like 95 or 96% back into the game. Gathering says, faith will be needed also for NFT when crates go live. Yeah. I mean, I think it'll work out. Like I said, everything's in flux. But my take on the fortification and faith defense combo has changed a little bit in the fact that I kind of want to up my faith now a little bit more before I up my fortification, because I do believe that once you start upping your fortification, then you start getting on the radar of the bigger attackers, and I don't necessarily want to do that right off, although I am on the radar of a few because there's a few that attack me regularly. Usually I have a good defensive percentage, but so let's go ahead and go back. Another thing I wanted to mention is Splinter Guide. If you all have not seen this, this is made by Hawks21 and Brave Tofu, another person. I'm not familiar with him, but Hawks21 brought about this website, helped out. I think Brave Tofu is the programmer, developer, and combination between he and Hawks. I saw Hawks mention this on a couple of videos this week, so I wanted to go ahead and dive into it. But overall, it's a great website. I'm going to start using it, and it's a good combination of information if nobody's familiar with it. Check it out. It's splinterguide.com. He has all the kind of common things you would look at on a daily basis as a Splinterlands player, right? You have, all your crypto running up here, what the values are, your main crypto, Splinter Shards, DEC, how much your packs are going for, and token, excuse me, tokens are, whether it's up or down over here. And I'm going to do a video on this, but I just thought I'd mention that for everybody to check out. So there's a bunch of different sections on ratings of cards and values depending upon which league you're in. So you can look at a card and you can say, well, in Modern or Wild, what kind of value does that card have? And you can see a lot of times, say for instance, this Elemental Phoenix, he starts out with a pretty good rating in bronze, but as he goes up to diamond, the value goes up because he picks up more power. So that's just an example. He also has a section on summoners, which basically does the same thing, shows you the ratings of the summoners. Of course, that would change in Modern or Wild, and that would change depending upon the level you go up. So he also has a section on abilities. So if you need a quick reference, and he also rates them. This probably some of this is debatable, but it's a good handy reference as far as the power of the actual abilities. He also has a section of rule sets. This is a good handy quick reference. That's what I'm seeing. And he has a section on the market where you can see what cards are doing on a daily or a minute by minute basis. I'm not sure how often this updates. Might have to ask him. But overall, they're just starting out, and he's trying to funnel people to the website to get a little traffic. So check it out and use it this week in your daily goings on, and then report back. Let me know how you like it, and we'll report back to Hawks and give some feedback on his various videos. So thought it was worth mentioning. We can see that Splinterheads is up over the last 24 hours. Let's look at it over the month. It's still down over the month, right? And although DEC is kind of up over the last 24 hours, it's still down over the last month. So I think we're all familiar with that. Also, I think that let's see if there's anything else we want to talk about on the town hall. They talked a lot about, back in and business stuff versus like the game stuff that's kind of exciting. So, I mean, this is all important, right? A lot of the talk was around how they're strengthening their business, their marketing, and trying to approach things to try to, keep their business going, which is exciting to people who get into business talk, but to gamers, not so exciting, right? So if there's something else in here you want to talk about, let me know. But a lot of this is bug cleanup, and they went into the clip of the week and the Monster Mayhem. Like I said before, I don't have a whole lot of time to watch videos, but it is fun once in a while to watch one of these streamers. I had thought about streaming some games because we are getting to the point where the change for bots is going to happen. And as everybody should know, I use the Archmage token to play my characters, or my accounts, my 2 accounts. And it plays them once per hour, just a standard setting, right? I'm not one of the big farms or anything. I think I've made my opinion known. When I first started, I thought, hey, you should just shut bots off. And I still do. I still do. I think that they left bots in because, frankly, I think the bot farms were keeping the game going at the early part, right? And I think somewhere behind the scenes they're getting kickbacks or something or other. But at a certain point, I just said, well, if you can't fight them, then join them, right? And I had put so much money into the game that obviously as an investor, from an investor's point of view, a few things happened at the same time, okay? First of all, I kind of got frustrated from playing and at that point trying to work my way out of bronze every season, right? It was just an exercise in frustration, right? So this was before, I had leveled up my decks and everything. So I figured, well, if they're going to continue to say bots are good, we're never going to outlaw bots, then I might as well join them. And right about that same time, Archmage came out with their, their beta tokens and everything. So I dove in and went that route. But I guess my whole point is that with the change upcoming, I have to decide whether I'm going to switch over and switch both my accounts and play in Wild, or maybe just switch one and play in Wild and continue to just manually play the other one in Modern. So let's see. Supreme says, I would like to see them increase the merit rewards in brawls. Xbot is the best bot. Well, Alex, due to the pricing on it, I have not been able to try Xbot out, and I do know you have said that before. So, and I have seen people review it, and I think the Xbot is reviewed more favorably than Archmage, but this is what I got for the time being, and it does an okay job. I mean, from the perspective of continuing to bring me value on a daily basis without me having to invest a bunch of time into the game, that's what I'm looking at. So I looked at Xbot, not Xbox, I guess a couple weeks ago when you had brought it up, and the pricing was to where I just didn't want to buy, So, and at this point, I mean, what's the cost of an Xbot token? I don't know. At that time, it was like $130 or something like that. Alex says, when Xbot showed it can get to camp easily, that hurt the game. Get to champ, probably, yeah. Yeah. Well, frankly, my opinion is that there shouldn't be any bots. But they continually, for years, said there's going to be bots in the game, so that's why I joined them. I would prefer it just to be all manual. But since it's not that, Alex says because Xbot can beat you in being, yeah. And there's also the whole topic about people using the bots in brawls and tournaments. So the bots are not necessarily automated in the fact that they select, they select the cards for you, but then you have to manually input them. To me, that's still using a bot, and that's still unfair competition. But I don't even know how you would go about preventing people from using that, right? Other than shutting the bot manufacturers down. So I think it's my thought process that if they're going to allow bots in a certain portion of the game, at least brawls and tournaments should be bot free. Otherwise, I mean, it's just not, it's not fair. I mean, I know life's not fair, but Alex says, I've used my Xbot in brawls. When I do, I win almost every I won every single, but my guild is anti-bot, so not allowed to use it. Yeah. When I use the tournaments, I usually gets me into the next rounds, but it doesn't win. Well, like I said, I don't play a lot of tournaments. I do play my guild brawls on a weekly basis to help my guild out and also to increase my cards and everything. But I think that should really be bot free. But I don't know how you're going to outlaw bots that are basically card pickers, because then the people just they just click on it and then enter the hand. I don't see what's fun in that, but a lot of people that do that, I guess, are just in it for the money or the cards, right? So they did show some art, kind of black and white, renderings of the different buildings on the land. And like I said, there wasn't a whole lot. Whole lot more. So I did want to talk a little bit more about land. Like I said, I am keeping an eye out for more plots. Alex says, yeah, it was perfect when I went on vacation. I just let it run. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? The whole point in having automated services is just that you are making, your account is producing for you while you're not necessarily having to be there 100% of the time, right? So I kind of, not kind of, I went in and I bought some cards this week, and I went with Gatherings focus. I went with gold foil common in Ravenwood. I have a mountain, so I bought enough gold foil commons to stake on my mountain. And I went with the cheapest gold foils for mountains. Yes, I know there's a new proposal. So I went with a few Venari Heat Smiths. There we go. I bought 3, and I have a few more gold foil. Kind of remembering. I bought a lava spider. I also bought Pellicore Deceiver. Trying to spread it out a little bit. All these are specifically for putting on land. Alex says, I do like playing the game, though. I do as well. And in fact, that's why I was kind of tossing around the idea of going back to playing and just playing in Modern, where they say they're outlawing bots. Then I know I'm playing against players. In the early days, the bots were not really hindering because there was just a ton of them, but they didn't play very well. But with Xbot and Archmage continuing to get better as time goes along, it can just be frustrating, right? But, on the flip side, a lot of those hands you end up seeing the same over and over, right? Because that's kind of the way those databases work. It's kind of self-progressive. In other words, you can see that a lot of times you'll see Kelia, you'll see Bakjira, or you'll see, what's the shark? You'll see the shark in front. Let's look at water. So a lot of times you'll see a combination of like, okay, so you got Kelia, and then you have, a lot of times you'll have Genoshanis or Bakjira in there, but you'll also have the Demon Shark up front. You'll have the Deep Lurker. You'll have the Flying Squid in second. A lot of times you see a combination of this, right? And I got really tired of seeing it. It's a strong hand. That's why you see it a lot, right? Love those cards, but what happens is it's self-perpetuating, because as these databases of common hands get used over and over and over again, it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up, and then that makes the databases that these bots refer to just keep using them over and over and over and over and over again. And I guess that's okay if it wins, but it just decreases the use of new cards in the game. Like I was rolling through my battles and trying to see if the Archmage bot, was using new cards, and it doesn't use a lot of new cards. Once in a while, let's see. So the Mark's Rat it used here. Idiri Fire it used the Will-O-Wisp. I like the Will-O-Wisp, especially as you level up. So it's using them once in a while, Clockwork Aid, but you can also see that I lost these hands, right? So, but I lost it to Quicks, Lux, Spirit Blade, Waka. So that's another topic. I was going to ask you all's opinion. I think that I need to increase the level of my. I'm at the point where I need to increase the level of my summoners. So currently, I have level 6 standard rare summoners from Chaos Legion. Um, and it's been good enough to kind of keep me in Diamond 3, sometimes Diamond 2 at the end of the season. But I've been thinking about either increasing the level of my standard summoners or possibly going into one of the new summoners, like, say, Skargor. I have 3 BCX of that, but I was thinking about increasing her, or, I'm renting out Chancius because I use him in Splinterforge. But possibly increasing the level of one of the other ones, or buying a new one that I don't necessarily have, just to, increase the value, or, the playability of my deck, right? So let's look at the new ones. I've been tossing around buying a Lily, thinking about that, or Possiblis. I don't really have a lot of experience with those because I don't have them, but those are the two I've been thinking about. I've also been thinking about, interestingly enough, I've been thinking about selling off my Mother Kala and just increasing my Ilthane and using my Ilthane as my life summoner. So I don't know what you all's opinion on that. Mother Kala has really been good to me over the years as far as play value. I've had good luck with her, although I noticed that over on Splinter Guides, he rates her kind of low. I'm looking. I was looking at. I like Ulrich. He gives him a 6 rating, which is above average, I guess. I'm trying to see where Mother Kala was. Let's sort by rating. Yeah, see, he gives Mother Kala a 3 rating. And I guess overall, she's not too exciting, just +1 life, right? So anyway, I was thinking about selling her off and increasing Ilthane. So, with that said, I did buy up those cards to stake on the land, and I am keeping an eye out for another plot of land in Ravenwood. Probably a common. I'll be interested to see what Nate does when he surveys his land, because he's got a bunch of area here. So I do want one more plot there, and I am trying to sell off my other plot over here. So in Gilith. As far as Golem Overlord goes, let me take a drink here for a minute. So my strategy since the big change in the game has still been defensive and to up my fortification and my faith, but I've also had to go in and start buying more scavenger golems. Gathering says Nate may sell some plots. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. I do know that having that many plots, it's going to be fairly expensive. Being on the team, he probably has plenty of stuff put aside for them, but hard telling. If he puts some plots up for sale, I'll probably snap one of them up, depending upon, make sure, I'm looking for a deal, obviously. And I'm primarily looking for plots that have the building in a box on them, as well as, anything else on it. I don't necessarily want to buy a land that doesn't have anything on it. A lot of the cheap, let's look at the land. I know I'm jumping back and forth, but I'm just trying to go with the flow of the conversation here. Let's go to buy, land market. I think over the last couple of weeks, you've seen crypto buggy, if I'm saying that right, kind of compete for the low end. It looks like this is another person that bought up a bunch of land, and it looks to me like they're keeping, they're selling off a lot of the commons, right? And Kush Hig is also on the low end, but you can see that those lands he surveyed with building in a box, which it gives a little bit extra. I'm not necessarily looking at the value as far as it being worth 8 to 10 US dollars. I'm looking at the speed, and I know gathering, you said you're retaining your building in a box for later buildings. Very valid point, and I had not thought about that. So that is worth something worth thinking about. I saw you mentioned that in the video with Dwayne, so that's a good point. But I can see that these are much better values, although it looks like he's getting rid of his bogs and swamps, but also lakes. So I don't necessarily know what swamps are going to produce. That's why I'm kind of don't know if I want to buy into one. But I guess my main point is you can see a lot of these people that bought up a lot of land are selling them off, right? So now the prices are still going up, but gradually I think land's doing what I had thought it was going to do, and it's going down. I really think that overall the land, I mean, of course I may be wrong, but I think the land is kind of going to go down to $25, $35, which indicates the original selling price of a land plot, which was $20, $25, somewhere in $20. Swamps will produce wood. Lotnick says plot resource type provided, grain. Hills, lakes, plains, river, tundra are going to produce grain. Bog, forest, jungle, swamp will produce wood. Badlands, canyon, desert are going to produce stone, and caldera and mountain are going to produce ore. Hey, Lotnick, thanks for that. Hello, thanks for joining. Good reference there. And that also goes back to my other point, which was originally Gathering's point, in that the caldera and the mountain are the only ones to produce ore. So that's why I think I want another caldera and mountain. Although my plan would have to involve having an extra plot in each area that produce grain, which would be hills, lakes, plains, or river. So hills, lake, plains, or river. So I have a lake and I have a mountain. I do have a plains as well. So we'll see. I think the main thing that I'm going at is I want to find some deals. And as these prices come down, especially if one pops up that has building in a box in it, it's going to be very tempting. I do think that I'm watching for plots of land in the areas I am in currently, because I don't think I want to branch out any further, because I think it will behoove you to have 2 or 3 plots of land in one area. That is, if you're going to have multiple, plots of land. And as the price of land goes down, to me, it gets more tempting to kind of go wide. We had this discussion a couple weeks ago, going deep versus going wide. Going deep would be like buying one very nice plot of land, 5 very high-end monsters cards to put on that land and staying with that, versus buying several commons and going at it that way. So I mean, everybody has a different call on that. Gathering says looks familiar. Laugh out loud. Lotnick says you're right, I stole it from you. Wibble says hey Wibble, thanks for joining. Alex says, I have a lake, bog, swamp, and mountain. Now, Alex, are you staying all in the same area, or are you spreading out? That's what I'd like to know. I'd like to know what everybody's doing, because I'm kind of going at it, like I've said before, trying to get at least 2 plots in each area, one to produce food and the other to produce whatever, whatever it's good at, right? So obviously that may change down the road, but initially that's what I'm going at. Alex says, she said go deep, not wide. Yeah. Gathering says, I wish I knew for sure how storage will work. If you don't need to stake monsters for storage buildings, I will buy common plots all over for $50 and be the storage king. Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point. I mean, we've talked about this in the past. Until we have some hard facts, who knows, right? I mean, they come out with the storage information. That's a very valid idea as far as a business type, is just be a storage guy. Buy random cheap plots everywhere and just use it for storage, right? Different way to look at it. Alex says 3 in 91, 2 in Gangclan. Okay. In my area, no, that's the wrong area. I see that Darkest Night has a plot, but for sale, but it's $175, so I think it's a little bit outside my range. I'm kind of looking for a little bit cheaper. That is a rare, so I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I'm looking for lower priced. If you've watched my videos before, I'm all about finding a deal. Now, there are some deals, but like I said, I think these are good prices, but I'm looking for something to pop up with, building in a box, because I do think that will get you on the road faster. Obviously, you also have, like what Gathering had talked about, in that you don't necessarily have to use it up front. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they'll require you to use it up front. Maybe you can save it for future buildings, like Gathering was talking about. We'll have to see. But the prices are headed down, and as people uncover more land, I think that they will go down a little bit, especially commons. And I don't necessarily think rares are worth. Okay, so your base level commons are in the $45 to $50 range. Let's look at rares. Looks like rares are in the $60 range, so that's not too bad. I mean, a couple weeks ago, rares were going for this large surplus over, and the bonus you get on a rare is not necessarily worth too much more than what a common is. Alex says, I got a magic is my best plot. I have 2 magic plots. I was kind of lucky. My plot here in Tostrington is a lake, water magic, or let's see, let's look at it. Earth magic. I like the sound effects they added in. Kind of cool. And as I had mentioned, in Ravenwood, it's a mountain, which is death magic. So, sound like a gunshot. The sound effect for that sounded like a gunshot. But we'll see. And it also goes back to, I was looking at the white paper here. The magical resource is, it's pretty rare to get as far as a land uncovering, but what you'll get is 100%, it looks like a production boost to Secret of Pretoria research. So that means that, like, I guess right up front, those 2 lands I'll have to put on Secret of Pretoria research. Gathering says, magical plots getting to an attractive low price. Would love to get one of each type. Yeah, until more is uncovered, like I said, and until we get any facts on what exactly is this Secret of Pretoria research good for, right? We'll be going in and producing this Secret of Pretoria research kind of as a hope that in the future it'll be worth something. So, but back on land rarity, so a rare only gets you 10% bonus over a common. So in the past, before a week or 2 ago, we saw that rares were going for a premium, much more than a 10% premium. But now they are coming down. So let's look at Magic. Looks like the lowest magical is $170. So they're still drawing a premium. And I don't necessarily know, I can't tell you what the secret of Pretoria research is good for. They've talked about it a little bit, but they have not put any real facts behind it. A lot of this is just like discussion because, they're still making it up, right? They're still, I hope they've got it planned out by now, but a lot of this stuff they're still planning out. And, really, I would really like to have some lands mining SPS, but really to be effective at that, any of the lands you can go ahead and mine SPS on, but occupied lands are going to have a 100% bonus on that. So obviously they're going to be the better choices. What's an occupied land going for these days? As you can see, $375, a big premium. So I don't really know what to make of that, and I don't necessarily know if you paid $375 for one of these and you got a 100% bonus on mining SPS. How much SPS is that going to net you per day? Is it worth it? We don't know because we don't know the numbers. Somebody may spend $375 on one of these lands and it only makes a few SPS per day. Is that necessarily worth it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the money would be better spent. And I hate the whole speculation game. I really hate. That's why you don't see any videos of me with a lot of this speculation, because a lot of videos put out and everything's speculation. I hate that. I like to have hard facts that we can talk about and kind of extrapolate on. But I would hate to pay $375 and basically be a bet that it's going to produce enough SPS to be worth it, right? So, and obviously the castles are humongous. Look at that, $23,000. Keeps $2,900 US. I would love to draw a keep, but that's a whole different discussion there, right? So, I don't know. Last Hope, hey, welcome. Thanks for dropping by. You just said you think land will probably drop to the $20+ range. So do you hold land now? Yeah, I've been in it since the beginning, really. Okay, the first plot of land I bought, which in hindsight is always 2020, right? I went in and I was going to buy before land was sold out, right, for $20. I should have. But I hem-hawed around, and at that point, I was still new to the game, and I was buying, cards to fill out my deck. So the week after they had sold out, I bought one at $30. And then through the years, I've bought a few more, and I think my average is about $100, on the land I've bought. But the land I've bought, I'm holding. Like I said, I am trying to sell that. I am trying to sell a couple because we're kind of in this phase of there are some people playing the land game, if you know what I mean, buying, selling, trading, trying to make a little money. I think I got a good deal on one of my plots. I'm trying to sell it off, make a little bit of profit to perhaps buy a rare or another magic land. And that's more that game I'm playing. I'm not necessarily selling because I think they're going to go down. I like the idea of the land game. I think that over time they've put too much. Let me think about what I'm going to say. I think they've vested. They've made land cost too much. I guess that's my main point. And I'm not talking about just the price of land. I'm talking about the sinks, the DEC sinks. I'm talking about the SPS sinks. I'm talking about all the cards you have to buy. All the DEC you have to put in the land. Over time, this has just evolved, and it's cost more and more and more. And I think that's also why people who bought large portions of land are now selling off, because they've seen how much it's going to cost to run land, right? So to your point, No, I'm not selling off, but I do think that land will come down because it was originally sold for 20. The original value of land to the Splinterlands team was $20 per. Right, that's what they sold them for. Right, so I think it kind of makes sense to be in the 20, 30, $30 range, somewhere in there. Obviously, a lot remains to be seen because we don't have a lot of hard facts as far as what these lands are going to earn, how much SPS you can make by selling grain or by selling ore, by selling wood, how much SPS you can make by, being like to Gathering's point, how much SPS you can make by being a holder, like just having land and storage for other people, right? Obviously, if we get in there and certain things obviously are going to rise to the top as more profitable, those things, the price will go up. Things that are less profitable the price will go down. That's just marketing, right? So, good question though. Gathering says occupied plots are the only ones that will produce essences. Everyone will be hoarding them in an item production, so I don't expect many essences on the market. Good point. I don't have really any information on that. I have heard them talk about it a little bit. Maybe that's another thing. Obviously, your point is that draws more value to those plots of land because there's very few of those. Like I said, once again, what's the value of those essences? We don't have any hard facts to make decisions on. These decisions are all bets. They're long scale bets. And you're saying if you pay $375 or $400 for one of those lands, you're betting that it's going to be worth it. Does that turn out to be? I don't know. Because a lot of this stuff, the team steps back and they say, we don't control the exterior market, what these go for. So we're just trying to make a better game, which hopefully they do, right? But if I paid $400 for a piece of land, I would hope that bet would pay off. Obviously, people do. So we'll see. I'm interested in finding out how the whole system works. How you produce essences, how items are produced. We've heard about totem fragments. Are those totems going to be the same as the totems that are originally sold? Everything's up in the air. So Last Hope says, I was just wondering why you would not sell your land now and just buy back later if you think it's going to fall in price still. Because I'm staying in the game. I'm a long holder. And while right up front, I may buy, sell, and trade because I like the whole idea of land game. That's why I bought in earlier. And as the price goes down, I'm looking forward into filling more land in. I'm also enjoying the few SPS it does, net you on a daily basis until we get into the staking and everything. So we'll see. I just don't, for the price that they're going for now, I just to realize $10 or $15 profit right now, it wouldn't make sense because frankly, most of these plots I bought, I paid more than $100 for. So an extra $10 or $15 is not going to make a lot of difference to me, right? I am on the edge of, I'm kind of very tempted. If those prices get down in the $35 range, I'm tempted in buying a whole like section, like 10 plots in one area and just, mass farming something, right? Buy 10 plots and find out what the best value, common or rare card is, max them out, throw everything on it and just start farming something. I like the whole idea. In fact, I like the whole idea of the land game versus the regular game. And I like playing card games, right? But I liked, and that's why I jumped in early and bought a few plots. I probably, in retrospect, everything is, 2020 in hindsight, right? But I should have bought more land. But like I said, back to one of my other points is I think these guys that, and women that have bought up a lot of plots are now realizing how expensive it's going to be to run those, and they're kind of stepping back and trying to sell some off. Probably cherry picking, keeping the best ones for themselves, and then selling off the commons. But that's a whole strategy in and of itself, going wide, right? I'm still kind of teetering that way. Once the prices come down a little bit, you could see me. I might be on here one day saying, "Yeah, I bought up 10 plots and I threw, whatever is the best value card on them, and I'm producing wood or something." So I kind of like the idea of the game going that way. Obviously, I would like to get value out of that, but it's a whole different game. All right, So we're getting down to the last 5 minutes of the hour. So anybody have any thoughts they want to end up on or questions you would like to see me research for next week's? Also, kind of just throwing it in there, if you like Diablo 4 or Blizzard games, Diablo 4 is on open beta. They're stress testing the servers this weekend, so if you want to test it out, you can jump in and download the client. It's a huge client if you download all the assets. So be aware of that. But you can jump in and play, and I will probably be playing and doing video on that this week as well. So I like Diablo is one of my favorite games of all time. So just thought I'd mention that. Just kind of to round things out, I'm almost to the point where I can upgrade my boots in Splinterforge. I will be going to level 3. I only pick up 1 speed, but that's kind of where I need to upgrade at. I've almost got enough money. It seems like every time I've got enough money, the price of the boots goes up. So let's see what they're going for now. So 3 BCX, 160,000. I'm almost there. I'm at 156,000. But every time I get enough money, the price goes up, right? So, okay. So Gathering says, love Diablo as well. Well, jump in. I have not played this weekend yet, but I do intend on playing this afternoon. I did have the videos out, and I did live stream earlier about a month ago when they had the open betas open, and I like it. I mean, it's obviously they've got work on to do on it. They're not releasing until June, the first week in June, and the game's there. It just needs some polish, and obviously they need to work on the different classes. And they've been doing a lot of work on that. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm interested. It's one of those games that I've bought over the years, each incarnation, and I've really got my money's worth. So that's where I'm at. I hope everybody is doing well. And like I said, I will be looking for another plot that pops up here in Ravenwood so I can produce food with it. Gathering says, haven't checked out Diablo 4 yet. Can anyone play now? Yes, I believe anybody can download the client on this weekend and play. They are stress testing the servers, trying to overload the servers because unlike other Diablo games, this is going to have an open world component, almost like an MMO to it. I think that when you're in a dungeon, you can still invite other people, but it's instance. But when you're out in the world, it's all open world. So they have to stress test the servers. Supreme Victory says, in my opinion, Splinterforge is a perfect place to park bots. Yeah, I agree. I do think they have certain rules against botting, but I think overall they are more focused on the large bot farms and not necessarily one off and two off that you're just playing your main account with a bot. But that remains to be seen. Now, Golem Overlord is going more hardcore against bots. So I don't necessarily, Golem Overlord only requires like an action every 8 hours or 4 hours if you have that selection. So I don't think the bots are that instrumental. However, it would be nice not have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to harvest, right? So, Well, we're drawing to the end of the hour, so I do appreciate everybody stopping by. If you have any comments, have anything you'd like to talk about next week, just drop them in the comments of this video, and I'll look into them. And I will look forward to seeing you next weekend. Otherwise, I hope everyone's happy and healthy, and I hope you have a good week. So with that said, thanks everybody for stopping by.